It's been said a million times how out of touch Nintendo is with the world around them, and it should be said a million more times because it is laughable how archaic and primitive and disconnected from reality Nintendo is. If Nintendo was an army, they would still be fighting using muskets. Nintendo is like inhabited by nothing but Neanderthals afraid of fire. If you walked into the Nintendo office and said the word technology or internet, they'd all collectively hide under their desks out of fear. It is pathetic how behind the times Nintendo is. Why am I talking about Nintendo? It's because they've just done two incredibly dumb things in the last 12 hours, back to back. A double whammy, double fisting the entire online community. The first thing they did is start striking Twitch streamers for playing their Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity game on stream a little early. And the reason they're playing the game early is because it came out in their area. Nintendo doesn't understand that time zones exist. They think everything is Nintendo time, baby. So the game is legally out in Australia and other parts of the world, so they just started streaming the game, but Nintendo doesn't know that, so they think they've pirated the game, so they struck their channel down as a result. If you told Nintendo that other places have different time than what they see on the clock in their office, they'd call you a liar, heretic, flat earth, conspiracy theorist, all kinds of crazy shit, because it looks like they don't understand how time zones work. That's how delusional Nintendo is. Nintendo is to gaming what the workers at Disney World are to the magic of imagination, locked in a fantasy world. They can't process reality or what the f is even going on in the world, it feels like. You need to look no further than the Nintendo Online service, the worst online functionality that you have to pay a fee for. Whereas most things, like on PC, you don't have to pay to play online. For Nintendo, you do, and you get the worst service. It's like a service you would find out of a dumpster 20 years ago. Like, it's terrible. It's terrible. It makes me wonder how they even develop games in the first place with this archaic understanding of technology and the internet. Keep in mind, this is the company that used to strike YouTube videos and entire channels if you even played Mario Kart or had Mario soundtrack in your videos. That was only like 5 or 6 years ago. It wasn't even long ago. Nintendo probably still uses pigeon-carried mail as opposed to electronic mail because they're afraid of the email boogeyman. Now, aside from just this ridiculous striking crusade they went on today, they also decided to cease and desist a major Super Smash Bros. Melee tournament because they were using Slippy. I'm not going to get too deep into what Slippy is, but in a nutshell, it allows Super Smash Bros. Melee to be played online via emulator with rollback netcode, and it is the best possible online experience you can find for Melee. And since the world is still experiencing a pandemic, they can't have Melee tournaments in person, obviously, so they were using Slippy, and Nintendo put their fingers up their ass and got real stinky about it, sent out a full cease and desist to shut it all down. Just classic Nintendo on everybody's fun and not understanding anything of what they're doing and how it affects people. Nintendo's whole brand image is about making content for the whole family to enjoy, but it seems like they prefer families in the ass. They've always had a bad reputation when it comes to anything involving consumers and communities. They don't care about communities. They just like to slap them around and use them. And now, of course, you have the 15-year-old certified Twitter lawyers weighing in on the legality of Nintendo stepping in and shutting this down. Well, it's well within Nintendo's rights to shut this down. I mean, it is their property, and it is an emulated version of their game. I think it's totally fine they shut it down. It's Nintendo, and I think that's okay. Well, asshole, I mean, we could debate the legality of emulators all night and day, but at the end of the day, this is a 20-year-old game. I don't think they're somehow missing out on sales by having people emulate and play it online. I don't think there's anyone out there scratching at their neck right now waiting for Christmas so they can finally get a GameCube in Super Smash Bros. Melee. I highly doubt that, but what could happen is some people tune into a massive Smash Bros. Melee tournament, see how much fun the game is, and then go out of their way to become a fan of Super Smash Bros., where they likely do buy Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Switch, you know? There's a lot of things that could happen in regards to getting new audience, a new player base from watching an old game being played that Nintendo isn't making any money on these days. I don't think Super Smash Bros. Melee is somehow a cash cow at Nintendo HQ. They likely forgot they even made the game. So yes, you and I can plop by the fireplace with an open bathrobe and debate the legality and whether or not Nintendo is well within their rights to shut it down till the cows come home, but it doesn't matter. The fact remains that it's still a douchey thing to do. It's a nearly 20-year-old property. Why are they trying to enforce that intellectual property tooth and nail and dictate how people can enjoy that game from that many decades ago. It's not worth it. Just let people have their fun. It's not a hard concept. Nintendo's supposed to be all about fun, right? Like, you know, fun for the whole family, all this and that. So what is the point in being so nasty and heavy-handed on everything relating to their property? It's a worthless fight that they decide to take with the community that supports them. It's pathetic. They absolutely just slap around the people that really like their games. It's really sad, and Nintendo is just so out of touch with the world that it is laughable. And it's really upsetting that they continue to operate this way without any consequence. They will always seem to be supported by the general population of gamers, even though they have no respect for gamers or anything in that ballpark. They probably don't even know what a gamer is. I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo's under the assumption that they're making pharmaceutical products or something. I really don't understand how they even make games with this basic level of understanding of the internet. It blows my mind. It really does. They are so incredibly out of touch. And there's a hashtag floating around for Melee right now, which is hashtag free Melee, hoping that Nintendo will see it and retract their decision to shut this big event down. Hopefully it works, but I can tell you right now, Nintendo doesn't know what Twitter is. Nintendo's Twitter account is run by one guy in their basement that they don't even pay. And he said, let's just make a Twitter account. And they said, you just do whatever, stay in that basement. They don't know what that is. They probably won't see it. Would love to be proven wrong. Hopefully Free Melee does something, but I just wanted to vent about Nintendo. That's about it. So yeah. I want to start by addressing the greasy elephant in the room. My hair is not wet from a shower. In fact, quite the opposite. Hygiene is a thing of the past in Tampa right now. This is just thick, caked-on layers of grease and filth. I look like a Madame Tussauds wax statue. But it's not by choice. I'm not choosing to revert to troglodyte instincts and just turn my room into some kind of 4chan masturbatorium cum dumpster where all of a sudden I just give up on showers or anything. It's because Tampa, in all of its baffling, stunning glory, found a way to blow up the water main yesterday or 2 days ago, however long it's been. It's been 2 days without a shower for me. Because a third party was doing work on the city and they found a way to just bust that bad boy completely sky high and flood half the city. I don't know what kind of work they were doing. Knowing Tampa, they were probably trying to find rare opals by just using dynamite in the streets, hoping to get lucky or something, and they ended up just blasting the pipes. But either way, it contaminated the water supply, so we're under a boil water notice and I can't shower. Rather, I don't want to shower. The city says the city will have you believe the water is safe to bathe in, just not consume. And now I'm going full conspiracy theory Redditor here, and I'm starting to question the truthfulness of that kind of statement, because if the water's safe to bathe, but not consume, how safe is it really? And I'm a hypochondriac already, so I just don't want to take the chance. Knowing Tampa, they're probably just dumping raw plutonium directly into the water supply. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they just said, hey, this radioactive chemical power plant needs to be drained. Might as well just do it right into the water main here and just further contaminate the water supply. No one will notice. So I'm just, I'm not going down that path. I bought like a case of water bottles to try and bathe myself with after this video. So we'll see how that goes, but I just wanted to explain that right away. So it's only been a week since the last time I on Nintendo, and I want to again reiterate Nintendo. And within that week, they've somehow found more interesting and creative ways to just be hated. It's like they're speed running to try and become the most hated video game company in the world, and they're succeeding. In the last video I made talking about I kind of chalked a lot of it up to just them being technologically incompetent and out of touch and afraid of change. But after the last week or so, I genuinely just believe this company is evil. I really think that they just hate gamers or their audience that they try and cater to, and do anything they can and go out of their way to keep dropping their butthole in the mouth of the people that buy their products. So I'm not going to go over the same stuff I talked about in the last video. If you want to see other things to hate Nintendo for, you can watch the last video I made. But this one I want to talk about just what they've done recently. So let's start with the most pathetic thing they've done. There was a Splatoon tournament coming up a couple days ago, where it was just a Nintendo Splatoon tournament for some teams to come in and compete for the grand prize of $25, which I think is probably the highest prize pool Nintendo's ever offered, because they don't show any support to competitive games. To be honest, when I heard it was a $25 grand prize, I was pumping both fists in the air like, yeah, good job Splatoon, you finally got Nintendo to shell out the big bucks for you. Because when I hear Nintendo grand prize, I usually think of cents. So I was expecting 25 cents maybe at most, but man, going all the way for $25 was nuts. And keep in mind, it's not actually 25 real world dollars. They were offering $25 worth of store credit to Nintendo service, baby. That's almost like 3 months worth of their awful online service where you get to play with dial-up connection. I mean, hey, it's a great deal. Nintendo's crushing it. They hate the word competitive in regards to their games. They hate it. I guess it's a company run by people who only ever got participation trophies and now hate competition. I don't know what to tell you. But they hate it and they offer no support. But anyway, they have this Splatoon tournament coming around where the teams were competing for $25 and they're not really there for the money. They're there just to have some fun. And anyway, 4 of the 8 teams that were competing, I think it was 4, had Save Melee, or some way of showing support for the Melee scene. Now just to bring you up to speed on the lore, Nintendo recently shut down a massive Super Smash Bros. Melee tournament just because they didn't like it was being played on an emulator. It was really petty garbage, and the Splatoon community wanted to show solidarity with the Melee community, so they just made some variation of Save Melee or Free Melee as their team name, and Nintendo responded by shutting the entire Splatoon tournament down. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but they revoked all live streaming rights of the tournament, basically just from the get-go. And the Splatoon community then went to a different tournament with a $1,500 grand prize pool, which absolutely annihilates Nintendo's official one. So it worked out for the Splatoon community, but it just shows Nintendo's willingness to spit in the face of the people that love their games so much. Nintendo hates gamers, I think it's safe to say at this point. They genuinely do everything they can to go out of their way to show the fun. And also, even more laughably, one of the Splatoon Opens, the grand prize of $25 wasn't even awarded to the team that won it. Here's a tweet from the team that won. They never even got their $25 gift card. Nintendo is such a piece of... Nintendo is so unbelievably heinous in all of their decisions, and I genuinely think they do it maliciously. I don't think it's incompetence. I really think they just have a hatred for the people that buy their products. They can't even be bothered to squeak out a $25 gift card for a team that loves their game that much and competes in tournaments. Like, that's so bad. But it doesn't stop there for Nintendo. Their appetite was ravenous and they weren't satiated yet. They were thirsty, and the only thing that would quench their thirst were more Nintendo fans' tears in their glass. So the next thing Nintendo did is they set their sights and put the crosshairs on one man making custom Joy-Con controllers that were made to honor Etika. Etika was a YouTuber and a streamer and a huge fan of Nintendo IPs, and a man named Captain Alex was making Joy-Con controllers to honor him. And of course, Etika had the Joy-Con boys, so the controllers were outfitted with Joy-Con boys on the controller, and the money that was being made from those was going into charity. And of course, Nintendo, being the greedy, soulless corporation that it is, they sent a cease and desist shutting down production. Nintendo and cease and desist go together like cereal and milk, peanut butter and jelly. They just fit together so nicely. It's used so often. Nintendo and cease and desist are pretty much synonymous at this point. Like, from now on, if you get a cease and desist, you can just call it getting Nintendo'd by this point. They cease and desist anybody. They would send a cease and desist letter to a 4-year-old that did a crayon drawing of Super Mario if it didn't properly represent their IP. To be honest, I'm surprised that Nintendo hasn't tried to sue everyone that wears a green shirt because they say it's related to Link from their IP, Legend of Zelda. They are truly shameless garbage corporation. They are the anti-fun video game developer. And I bet you're thinking, Charlie, well, that's gotta be it, right? And you'd be wrong. They have gone on a complete rampage in only like 5 or 6 days. Today, they shut down the soundtrack for Super Mario, Zelda, and Mario Kart Wii. You can no longer hear the soundtrack on YouTube. They've blocked all of it, or at least most of it, and they're going to continue to do so. It is now forbidden music, because it's Nintendo's music. There's a few more things I was reading about in regards to how they would strong-arm Twitch into not allowing certain things to be broadcast, but I feel like a lot of those aren't 100% confirmed, so I'm not going to touch on it, and I don't even need to. I think it's pretty clear Nintendo doesn't care for the people that buy their games. In fact, I go a step further and say that they genuinely hate them. I don't think that's a stretch to say. I really don't. They have to go out of their way to find these things that they're shutting down and cease and desisting. They have to genuinely be scouting the entire internet to look for people to shut on. It's crazy. Now, I've already started my protest of Nintendo. I didn't buy Age of Hyrule Calamity, Chlamydia Warriors, whatever it was called. I already forgot. The Age of Hyrule Warriors Calamity, whatever. Because Nintendo. I've never seen a company be so open with how much they don't like the communities that play their games. It's wild. They're not just out of touch. They're downright attacking the people that play there. If they're not playing it in the Nintendo sanctioned way, the Nintendo's gonna try and have your ass thrown in jail. It's a terrible company. It's horrible shit. Horrible, horrible, really. Nintendo. That's about it. See ya. I'm just gonna get this out of the way right now. My voice sounds like a chain smoker who swallowed a bag of rocks, and there's not much I can do about it. But there's something I really want to talk about today. Nobody hates Nintendo fans more than Nintendo themselves. Every year, sometimes multiple times a year, Nintendo will lash out and just attack YouTubers who make videos about their games, like the biggest fans. And if they're not attacking YouTubers, they're attacking grassroots tournaments. It's foul. Nintendo has some kind of grudge against people that like their products. They view them as enemies, like terrorists. How dare you enjoy our products this much that you're willing to make content or have tournaments around them? We're putting the kibosh on it. And that's exactly what they've done again to a massive YouTuber named Penguinz0's. Oh my god. What? Nintendo even sent an assassin after me with Io here with that jump scare. Jesus. That was terrifying. It's good to see you though, Io. You heard me talking about Nintendo and just wanted to come in and chime in on how they are. I respect it. Yesterday, Penguinz0 posted this video where he talked about how Nintendo is not only taking down a ton of his content, mainly Breath of the Wild, but also striking his channel for it. For those that don't know, there's a couple different levels of severity here, a couple different DEFCONs you can go through on YouTube, where one of them is a video gets claimed by someone, which means they then take all of the AdSense. Another level is they block it and take it down, but you don't get a strike, you just no longer have the video up. And then the third most extreme level, this is when the air raid sirens are sounding, going nuclear, striking a channel, which takes down the video and issues a strike to the channel, which is debilitating. And if you get 3 strikes, you lose your whole channel, it just vanishes. And this is usually supposed to be reserved for the most egregious of offenses, just severe violations of the rules, like you're trying to punish Dirty Dan for getting a little crazy on the platform, then that's when the strikes were supposed to be used. It's because it's basically like capital punishment here on the platform. But Nintendo uses this willy-nilly. They're very loosey-goosey with issuing strikes. This is their first strategy. They don't reach out or try to play nice. They immediately just start rolling around in the pig pen and spitting on anyone who's covered their content, it seems. They throw out more strikes than a professional bowler, and that's exactly what they've done to Penguinz0. They've issued 2 strikes on his channel. I'm going to play portions of his video here where he talks about it more in detail, but it's so up. Nintendo is such a scummy company. I cover all of their L's because I love their products, but I hate their company. I think they're still learning what an email is. They don't know what video content even means. The internet is this mysterious boogeyman to them. They don't get it. They're out of touch. They're delusional, and it shows. They do this so often, and they've done this for as long as the internet's been around. Even back during the dial-up era, I'm pretty sure Nintendo would have tried to lobby against the internet's creation in the first place. They view it as an evil tool used by the devil because it showcases their games. It makes me angry, and they've done it once again.
Listen to what I have to say and consider reversing the decision to claim these videos. I make videos playing games, sometimes in strange ways. But for today, it's important for you to know that on occasion, I modify the games I play and explore what happens when the game mechanics are a little different. I have never encouraged piracy of Nintendo's games. The mods that I've commissioned are not being sold, and all of the code is custom, meaning that they are free of Nintendo assets.
Penguinz0 explains that the purpose of the video is to hopefully get Nintendo's attention to the issue and reverse their decision. Something Nintendo's never done in the entire company's history, I'm pretty sure. I don't think they've ever listened to anyone ever, not even like their own kids. Like, there is no one Nintendo listens to, and I don't think they've ever walked back a decision ever. If they even loosely heard from the community, Nintendo Online wouldn't be such an embarrassing pile of dog shit you have to pay for, which is still just an absolute war crime to even be charging for how bad that service is. But anyway, I'd love to be wrong here and someone at Nintendo actually has internet access and watches this video and has a heart like, oh wow, yeah, maybe this was... But I just don't see that happening, though I would, again, love to be pleasantly surprised. Point Crow lays out that he makes videos and does a lot of content on Nintendo games, and in some of that content he mods them. He modifies the games to be goofier, and the content is fire. So he needed to explain that when he modifies the games, he's not encouraging piracy, he's not stealing anything from Nintendo, it's all custom, and it is in line with their own content policy that they themselves published.
On April 6th, 1 week ago, Nintendo decided to block all 4 videos that I put up on YouTube playing the multiplayer mod. I appealed their decision, as I'm very much in line with their content guideline policies. We'll go over that in a moment. Nintendo then escalated and issued a copyright strike against my YouTube channel. Not once, but twice. Rather than bundle the videos all into one copyright strike, Nintendo issued a copyright strike for one video, and then bundled the other 3 into another strike.
That's deliberately evil. That's malicious. They could have bundled them all together for one strike, which would have still been an absolute load of horseradish, but they decided to go even a step further to the dark side and divide them in order to issue multiple strikes. That's so up, but a very classic Nintendo move. Just another huge L from this company.
Deliberately putting my channel in danger, but not taking it down completely. I was able to get an email address for Nintendo and sent a message asking that we discuss what's going on and try to reach an amicable resolution that would make both parties happy. I heard nothing back so far. Here's that email if you would like to read it.
Like I said, I'm pretty sure Nintendo has cobwebs on their email address. I don't think they know how to log in. Maybe they forgot the password. Maybe they just forgot it existed. Point Crow does have a legal team giving him advice here, and I think he's handling it in all of the right ways, but Nintendo is just completely unresponsive to anything from anybody. Like, you could actually have Joe Biden send them some kind of presidential message or whatever, and if it doesn't get there by carrier pigeon, they're not getting it regardless. Again, I've said this before, but you would have better luck reaching Nintendo if you wrote your message on a rock and threw it outside of your window right now. They'd stand a better chance of seeing that than anything else, like an email or anything. They truly just don't give a shit.
So the next day, Nintendo claimed 24 more of my videos from my channels. Most of them are modded content. A lot of them are Breath of the Wild. But not all of them are. This is key. They also claimed videos containing footage from Super Mario Odyssey, the Pokemon series, and Wii Sports Resort from my channel. The most surprising one, though, was a claim from one of my first videos back in 2019, marrying Sidon and a bookshelf to create Hyrule's first car. It's just a regular, vanilla gameplay video of Breath of the Wild.
The belief I and many others had going into this video, seeing what he posted on Twitter, was that the reason they're striking these videos and taking down this Breath of the Wild content is because their upcoming game, Tears of the Kingdom, is right around the corner, and for some reason now they're going around feeding knuckle sandwiches to anyone who's made Breath of the Wild videos, I guess, and they've always had a real thorn in their side about modding. That's just a rock in their shoe that makes them very upset that people mod their games in order to have more fun with them. They don't recognize that the people modding those games are literally their biggest fans and making a ton of content around it, which only helps spread the game further in a positive way. Point Crow's mods weren't malicious, he wasn't selling them or anything like that, and as you can see from what he just showed, it's not like they were only claiming modded videos. That video from 2019 is just vanilla gameplay. It's not modded out the wazoo or anything. They just very much viewed him as some kind of like bad guy and started blasting him as hard as they could. They've claimed the vanilla gameplay video of Breath of the Wild. That is so far into degeneracy. It's nuts. And the cat's out of the bag here. It's clearly not Tears of the Kingdom motivated because they also hit other videos from him that were on completely different games.
These takedowns aren't exclusive to my channel either. Over the course of the next couple days, Nintendo is taking down videos from other channels as well. Croton, another very prominent YouTuber, has had at least 10 live streams and 2 videos removed. Importantly, one of those videos is simply a challenge video, detailing how the game would be played if the player decided to explore Zelda, with certain restrictions the player has imposed on themselves. These takedowns may have started with modded content, but they have spiraled into something else entirely.
Yeah, they've spiraled into lunacy here. They're not just targeting modded content, though I don't think there's any real justification for what they've done, even if it was only modded content. Modded content isn't some affront to God for these companies. It is players modding your game and making content around it and just enjoying it even further. Now, maybe there are some mods that are bad news, but I promise you it's not the ones you're striking down from these YouTubers. It's just further wiping their own ass with their already awful reputation and staining it even further. But again, they don't care. Purchasing a Nintendo game honestly feels horrible because you're buying something from a company that doesn't respect you and actually just straight up hates you. It's like buying clothes from your high school bully. Like, damn, the clothes are fire, but god damn it, the person behind it hates me and literally spits on me every chance they get. Like, it just sucks. Like, Nintendo makes such bangers, but the company is just actual trash.
So now you know what's happening. At this time, my channel has had 29 videos taken down, 2 copyright strikes, and Nintendo does not seem to be stopping the removal of videos from other creators on YouTube. They've shown that they're striking down regular gameplay videos as well. It's sporadic, and their enforcement of their copyright is incredibly uneven. The thing is, without even considering fair use, all of these videos are very clearly in line with Nintendo's own game content guidelines for online video and image sharing platforms.
Nintendo is going insano style right now, absolutely purging YouTube of all types of different content out of nowhere. Like, all of it's pretty nonsensical. It's not just modded content, it's actual just normal gameplay videos, like playing Breath of the Wild with like a challenge run and shit like that. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they start taking down speed runs or even just general walkthroughs. Like, it's absolute madness. It's chaos. And there's just no way of defending this behavior from Nintendo. Point Crow explains that all of this content fits within their own content policy, as well as, of course, being fair use. They state that they encourage creative input and commentary for content around their video games, as well as like Let's Plays, video game reviews, which it doesn't really seem like they are saying that with a smile on their face, considering they're now just taking down all of these videos that have creative input and commentary. The things that they highlight that they don't allow are the obvious things, right? Where it's just like, you know, full Nintendo trailers or all of their soundtrack and like that. Things that other companies also don't encourage either.
You might argue that modded content is in violation of these guidelines, but historically that's not the case. The terms of service for The Legend of Zelda says you cannot modify the game, but it also says that you cannot stream it, you cannot make videos of it, and you cannot otherwise broadcast it. Nintendo's game content guidelines changes this, though, by providing a license on top of the existing terms of service, which modifies the terms of service for content creators. All of the videos that they have taken down are in compliance with their own policies.
A lot of games in their terms of service actually have similar statements, such as like no making videos or streaming the game or anything like that. But like Point Crow mentions, there's extenuating circumstances. There's like an overarching branch of it where they do modify that for the content creators and content that is made around their products. Because obviously in this day and age, any game is going to be like streamed or have videos about it. So a lot of companies encourage it, and Nintendo claims they also encourage it. They even talk about like how touched they are when people make Nintendo focused videos, which is the biggest lie ever told. Like, my god, what a fib, no shot. Every video made on a Nintendo game makes them angry. I feel like they view that as lost dollars, potentially. Like, oh no, a potential customer may have seen this video and now they're never going to bother getting the game because they got the whole experience from watching this one guy play Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild by all of the trash mobs. No, we lost somebody, they've ruined us. Take them down. It's just something that has existed for a long time, right? No streaming the game, no making videos on it, but that's just not the way it's worked historically on the internet for a long time now. And Nintendo has understood that up until recently, where I guess they got hit by a stupid beam and are now taking down videos again. Completely innocent ones.
In fact, what they've demonstrated here is that they will ignore their own policies and licenses to selectively enforce their intellectual property. So, if you've uploaded any video that features any Nintendo content, no matter how transformative or directly in line with their published guidelines, you are at risk. You mentioned in your content guidelines that you are humbled every day by the loyalty and passion for Nintendo's games, characters, and world, and respect that we want to be able to express ourselves creatively by sharing our own videos and images using content from your game. And if you truly respect us and are humbled by this community, Don't take this creativity away from us.
Overall, I think it's an extremely strong video from Penguinz0's here, which once again highlights Nintendo's out-of-touch delusion, and it serves as a great open letter to the company that I have no doubt will go completely radio silent on. I don't think they're going to see it. I don't think they're going to care. They're going to most likely continue to take down completely innocent videos and maybe even whole channels that have covered Nintendo products or made Nintendo-focused content, all because they're just evil. Like, I really don't know what it is anymore. This does nothing to help them. This just puts another blemish on their reputation. This doesn't get people excited for Tears of the Kingdom. This just makes more and more people afraid of Nintendo. And for a company that's supposed to be like all about family fun, I don't know why they want to be feared so badly, ruling their property with an iron fist and allowing no room for creativity or imagination in their worlds from the people that love them the most, like Penguinz0's mentions. It's just an actual pile of dog shit. And I wanted to talk about that. I'm wishing Penguinz0 the absolute best here, navigating these 2 strikes on his channel, because Nintendo is a fearsome foe. So I really am hoping for the best for him. He's a great guy, and Nintendo is anything but a great company. They're trash. That's really about it. So yeah. Nintendo forcing Garry's mod to delete 20 years worth of content. They're actually making a stink about Nintendo property being in Gmod now? Is there nothing Nintendo won't ruin? They have to be the most joyless corporation on the planet. No exaggeration. It's gotta be Nintendo, hands down. There's more joy from cigarette producers than there is Nintendo. That's incredible. Wow. Wow. I actually did not expect that. I have to look into this. There's no way. This has got to be some kind of misunderstanding. No shot. I heard it's not actually Nintendo, but some known DMCA imposter. We'll go through this. I've got to find out now. Didn't Nintendo sue a 10-year-old's birthday party, or was that a meme? They've sued so many people and cease and desisted so many, I don't know. That sounds like something Nintendo would do, but the one that always stands out to me is it was Marvel, and they shut down a child's gravestone having Spider-Man on it. Nintendo would send a cease and desist letter to a toddler for drawing a picture of Mario without paying them. That is the Nintendo way. So they've been issued a takedown notice by Nintendo. As a result, Face Punch Studios, developers behind Garry's mod, are in the process of removing about 20 years worth of Nintendo-related content from the game. In an update to Garry's mod Steam page, the developer stated, "Some of you may have noticed that certain Nintendo-related workshop items have been taken down. This is not a mistake. The takedowns came from Nintendo." That certainly doesn't sound fake. Is that currently still the case right now with the game? Nintendo stuff on Steam Workshop. We're working on removing all Nintendo-related stuff from Steam Workshop. Some of you may have noticed that certain Nintendo... Yep, we just read that. Honestly, this is fair enough. This is Nintendo's content, and what they allow and don't allow is up to them. They don't want you playing with that stuff in Garry's mod. That's their decision. We have to respect that and take down as much as we can. This is an ongoing process as we have 20 years of uploads to go through. If you want to help us by deleting your Nintendo-related uploads and never uploading them again, that would help us a lot. That does sound like old Scrooge. Nintendo. We're going to see if it's actually Nintendo or not. Regardless of if it's actually Nintendo, it seems whoever is behind it is successfully bullying Nintendo-related property off of Garry's mod. So they're already causing a huge change to it in a negative way. I don't see who would do that other than Nintendo, but let's continue. Nintendo-themed add-ons seem to have begun getting taken down a few months ago, though Face Punch didn't publicly divulge that the company had issued the takedowns until earlier today. The process has been ongoing since then, and the developers are still working to remove it all, which is understandably a Herculean task. I mean, this has to be Nintendo, right? Like, there's no way it's been months off fake DMCAs. Especially not against a big company like this. Like, Garry's mod is still one of the most successful Steam games there is. Like, surely the company would be able to recognize if it actually came from Nintendo or a imposter, I would think. You underestimate how much trolls and annoying Nintendo fans love this. There's no Nintendo fan out there that's offended that Mario and Luigi are shooting tampons in Garry's mod. Like, I don't think they're going to go out there and actively try and take it down by committing a crime, by impersonating Nintendo. Bro, look at the Nintendo fans who had a crusade against Pow World. I guess. But I mean, that's just like Twitter, though. This is criminal. Oh, here's a post from 8 days ago. Aaron Peters, the destroyer of add-ons. This came up when I was looking into it, or when I looked that up. Lately, there's been chaos in the workshop of Gmod, TF2, Source Filmmaker, Left 4 Dead 2, etc. An internet troll by the name of Aaron Peters has been false flagging content creators' add-ons with fake DMCAs. This troll has been claiming he's part of Nintendo, which in fact he is not, and has been doing nothing but causing chaos for the past few months, probably at the start of January. That timeline does check out for what we just read. He has managed to target add-ons that are Nintendo or Nintendo-related. In some cases, he's managed to get rid of any add-ons that even have a smudge of a Nintendo character, even in a piece of art. I don't know if his goal is to get rid of Gmod video creators or just ruin everyone's fun in creating content. He has managed to ruin everybody's day, and I can't blame them. Awareness must be spread about this. People must know about this, because for all we know, he could even target add-ons that aren't even Nintendo-related. Well, yeah, he's obviously not affiliated. He could target anything. He just chose Nintendo to be an asshole because it's the biggest. The Kirby Reanimated collab claims that their videos were taken down by a third party abusing DMCA takedowns, which isn't the first time this would have happened, by the way. This actually happened a few years ago for, it wasn't the same guy, I don't think, but for Nintendo properties, someone did this as well on YouTube. This company, which doesn't have any clear links to Nintendo, has reportedly been targeting Nintendo, well, I guess maybe it could be the same guy, just using different names. He keeps fleeing the countries. He goes on these rampages, then leaves the country and assumes a new identity only to do it a couple years later. The name of the company doing these takedowns is A-PAB. Been targeting Kirby creators in particular. Allegations that APAB is the real entity behind the copyright claims date back to 2020, with one creator saying that they reached out to Nintendo and received confirmation that it was not responsible for the strikes on their channel. Oh. Nintendo officially confirmed that they've never flagged any Kirby video, which makes me wonder what is the motive behind APAB's flagging. All I know is that APAB also ruined many channels in Japan as well by false flagging. I'm really hoping someone investigates this company, because what they're doing is 100% DMCA abuse. It's also a crime. The last guy that did this in Minecraft got fined 25 grand for each instance. This guy's on the hook for millions. The company's name stands for Association for Promotion of Advanced Broadcasting Services, but information on the entity is scarce. So, like, I know this has happened on YouTube, but I just can't imagine it happening to a full studio like Face Punch. I don't know. That seems... I feel like they do their due diligence on where the DMCA came from. I would really think. So, this is bogus DMCA claims made by a copyright troll claiming to be working for Nintendo of America, targeting add-ons from Nintendo franchises in the Steam Workshop. So they've been looking to find and take down the individual responsible for this, as well as spread awareness. So Workshoppers Brewster T. Koopa, Crispy Toast, and Z Pyromancer's voice actor Electric Star. February 11, 2024, Brewster posted a plethora of tweets involving false DMCAs on Twitter. This just, okay, I thought this was going to link the tweets. It just got me to an explanation of what Twitter is. Unlucky. In the same day, Crispy Toast uploaded a video titled Reply Nintendo Gmod Add-ons Taken Down, an entry into the Re-Demoman series of videos. Let's see.
I'm sorry.
That does about sum it up. Aaron Peters. Okay, here's the first mention of that name with some evidence. Aaron Peters, our prime suspect here, the Jack the Ripper of Nintendo add-ons. Hours after the video was posted, Brewster T. Koopa revealed that the individual had sent DMCA emails to almost all Nintendo-based Gmodders, including himself, which reveals the troll's name, Aaron Peters. So he's just... wait, is he actually just sending emails? I see why that would work on content creators, but surely Face Punch wouldn't just fall victim to this. This is like a phishing scam. Aaron Peters, Nintendo of America. Okay, that's not his real name then. That's just the alias he's using. There is no Aaron Peters. It was discovered that Peters had a history of sending fake DMCAs to pretty much anyone that contained Nintendo-related properties in the past, including not suitable for work artists and even Fraymaker's Workshop. Pillow Fort user MKLXIV shared a blog in 2019 that details their encounter with the troll. Peters' motivation as to why he sent fake DMCAs is currently unknown. Yeah, this guy sounds like an absolutely colossal loser. March 4th, 2024, Crispy Toast uploaded a video called Garry's Mod False Nintendo DMCA Claims, the story, detailing the entire story about the false DMCA claims in the tweets above. Oh, nice. So you already broke down like the whole thing here. What if he was actually hired by Nintendo in secret because they know their lawyers couldn't be paid enough for even that level of heinous? Oh, he's just a fall guy? That would be an interesting theory. I think the more likely theory is it's a guy struggling with mental illness and he just wants to do something, like in general, do something to have an effect negatively on others. I think that's probably what's going on here, would be my guess. I'm very confident this guy's name's not actually Aaron Peters, it's just what he's calling himself in these emails. What I think Nintendo should do, and I know they won't because they're still only just now figuring out the internet is a thing they can engage with, but what they should do is take this guy to court and, like, he needs to be made an example out of. This is like the third or fourth time this has happened to Nintendo in particular, with people impersonating them for DMCA takedowns. But I think Nintendo's too out of touch to even consider that. But why? He's literally doing all their work for free. Yeah, but you also, even though I'm sure Nintendo's not losing sleep over taking away people's fun since they love that, it's still illegal to impersonate them, and I'm sure they're not happy about that. I'd really like to know more about this mysterious turbo douchebag, though. Because he's been doing this for years? But it does seem now that Gmod has been hit by this guy, not Nintendo. I'm just kind of surprised that Face Punch wouldn't have done more to investigate if they're authentic DMCA claims or not. Again, they're one of Steam's most successful games. They probably could have a direct line to Valve and ask them, hey, have you guys received notice from Nintendo that we have to take ours down? Yeah, there's a ton of on Aaron Peters dating back for quite a while. And there are just some weird people in the world, man. What an interesting thing to want to do. If Nintendo's reputation gonna get dragged through the mud, it's gotta be on their own terms. Also, should they give this Aaron guy the same treatment they did with that Switch-modifying Bowser guy? Oh! God, that poor soul. Yeah, I mean, if God, Aaron Peters probably sleeps with one eye open, because if Nintendo ever does decide to take action, his life is over. They Bowser hard. That man is indebted to them for the rest of his life. What was his first name? Garry Bowser. Oh. They did him dirty. He went to jail, and he still owes them 25% of his monthly income for the rest of his life. Till he makes over 10 million, I guess. Hey, I just want to come in here and let you know something that we're doing at Starforge. It turns out we have an extra Godslap PC, so we're just going to give it away. It's our highest end PC with the best possible design on it because it's Godslap related. At Starforge, we're making the best PCs in the universe, and the Godslap PC is so good that I'd actually extend that to the entire multiverse. Just look at the design of the case here. It's spectacular. So yeah, if you want to enter the giveaway, there's a link in the description. A winner will be chosen at random, so if you enter it, good luck. It's obviously free to enter. Also, we'd have matching PCs, because that's the PC I use. It's a Godslap PC from Starforge. It's amazing. So yeah, that's about it. So yeah. I like Nintendo games. I don't like Nintendo as a company. I've said this for 6 years now. Nintendo constantly makes decisions that are actively just hurting the biggest fans of their property. It seems like they're just hell-bent on ruining people's passion for their properties. They're just on this warpath against fun itself. It's like when SpongeBob had to teach Plankton what fun is, that's what the community constantly does for Nintendo, only for them to just shout, bah humbug, and then send you a cease and desist, or just outright slap you down. Or if you're a YouTuber, issue you a strike. Oftentimes, Nintendo is just evil for the sake of it. Like, I'm talking mustache-twirlingly sinister. Like, the Nintendo Corporation is a villain that Mario would have seeked to slay in one of his games. Like, I remember a case like 4 years ago where Nintendo banned a handful of streamers for playing Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity early. Except they weren't playing it early. Nintendo just forgot that time zones exist, so they banned streamers who were playing the official release of Hyrule Warriors because they forgot. That's how out of touch and archaic Nintendo is and how willing they are to just bend someone over and spank their cheeks raw, even when there's no real reason to do so. This is something Nintendo has done for years now with like Smash Brothers, which I've talked about endlessly, but they get up extra early in the morning just to hate. Like, they try and just ruin fun. Nintendo would send assassins to Santa Claus's workshop if they found out that one of the elves made an unlicensed Yoshi plushie. I know I'm getting a little lost in the sauce here, but I just get very passionate when I talk about how menacing Nintendo is for no reason. So the reason why I'm talking about them today is because they've just dealt a massive blow to emulation. Nintendo deserves more shit than a porta potty for this, and I really hope they get huge backlash for it, because I think this is just completely unacceptable. It started 2 days ago with a channel called Retro Game Corps announcing that they had received strikes for content that had a Nintendo game running on an emulator. The channel owner explains that they are considering a counterclaim under fair use as it was educational and transformative and had no effect on the market. It was a demonstration of a console no longer for sale. Even the Wii U eShop is closed, so the company itself has no means of earning revenue from Wii U sales. So this is one of the core components and what makes emulation so important. There are games that aren't being sold anymore and cannot be accessed outside of emulating them. It's ridiculous. It is an incredibly important tool for preservation. But the only thing Nintendo's interested in preserving is that chip on their shoulder they have against any kind of internet content that shows their games. So they once again overstep and issue strikes for this, which is something Nintendo has done since the dawn of YouTube itself. There was a time period where you couldn't actually have a YouTube video that had a Nintendo game in it because Nintendo would have your account banned. They hate it for some reason. They try and protect their copyright with an iron fist. And I know there's always people that have Nintendo's cock in their mouth trying to make arguments on their behalf, doing free PR for them, fighting their battles, saying things like, oh yeah, but people will download games that they don't have on emulators and that hurts Nintendo. Load of baloney. That's dirty barnacles, especially in cases like this. There is no one getting hurt by emulating games that are not accessible through official means. There is tons of games like that. Emulation is extraordinarily important, and Nintendo does everything it can to ruin it. And in doing so, they even try and ruin other people's lives in the process. That channel now has 2 strikes on their YouTube account, meaning that they're 1 strike away from having their account terminated, meaning a source of revenue, part of their livelihood, is on the cusp of being taken away at the hands of Nintendo. And no amount of groveling at Nintendo's feet ever appeases them. The only thing that appeases them is complete destruction of fun and destruction of emulators. So the big thing that happened today is they just shut down Ryujinx. Ryujinx is one of the last main remaining Switch emulators, and it just got wiped out today. Like the dinosaurs with the meteor, Nintendo came in and they put the kibosh on it. According to an official statement on Ryujinx Discord server, developer GDK Chan was contacted by Nintendo, offered an agreement to stop working on the project, and the agreement wasn't confirmed, but the organization has been entirely removed. So here's the Discord announcement about it, talking about how it's going to cease operations. And like I mentioned, this is one of the last remaining Switch emulators. This isn't the first time Nintendo's done this. They took down Yuzu not that long ago, which was the big boy on the block. That was the sheriff in town. Yuzu was the go-to Switch emulator until Nintendo put it in the crosshairs and they took it out behind the barn. Nintendo's motto is, "You'll have fun with our games the way we want you to. Any other way that you enjoy our products is not acceptable, it's not permissible, it's illegal, you're going to jail, buster." Nintendo has a set way that they believe things should be done with their property. And we see it in Smash Brothers, where they don't believe it should be a competitive game, so they've never shown support for Smash Brothers and have even actively gone out of their ways to shut down tournaments over the years. And that's just a community of people that love their games, trying to put on events for their games, and Nintendo sometimes comes out there and says, "Nope, shut it down, pussy." Like, they go out of their way to ruin fun. They've been a little better about not destroying Smash tournaments recently, but historically, you've always just had a coin flip on whether or not Nintendo's going to show up and just say, "That's enough, take this down." And it's that way for so many things. It's just so unnecessary, and it's always so heavy-handed. They always choose, like, scorched earth, like the most aggressive path they can take. Strikes on your channel, banning your stream for 48 hours, like shutting down your Twitch channel for 48 hours, which is fundamentally, like, to put that in perspective, Nintendo having that power is basically Nintendo showing up to your job and firing you for 48 hours. Like, that's how extreme it is. It's so stupid. It's silly. Well, it would be silly if it wasn't so destructive. And it's not like they're doing anything good. Like, they're not releasing an emulator of their own. Like, they take down these emulators, and then what? Then the games are just inaccessible. Some games you will never be able to play again now. There are some games that now just fade into memory. A myth, a legend, even, that can never be played again because Nintendo is destroying emulators. It's like, if they had a competing product, I'd understand. That'd be understandable. It'd make a little more sense, like, oh, okay, Nintendo views this as competition. They're kind of stepping on their toes. Like, they have an official emulator, and now there's a bunch of unofficial ones out there, so I guess I'd understand why they'd be reaching their tendrils out there to try and stop that. But they don't. They don't have an emulator. They don't have ways of playing games from the old Wii U shop or anything. They don't have ways of playing some of these games. The only option are these emulators, which now are no longer an option because Nintendo is burying them. They are such a litigious company, yet so lethargic when it comes to, like, delivering things that make sense. Their Nintendo Online service is still a joke. That is still a dial-up service that you're paying for, basically. Every Nintendo Online game I've ever played, especially Smash Bros. Ultimate Online, is sickening. Like, their games, like, they're fun. They're very fun games, but their hardware is outdated. Their hardware is archaic. A calculator on your iPhone is probably more powerful than the entire Switch console. Like, Nintendo is so behind on the times, but they have such good first-party games from, like, some very creative people internally that make bangers, but it's all wrapped up in this company that is out of touch and downright greedy and evil. There is no reason Nintendo should be shutting down emulators. They are doing your work for you. They are creating more fans of Nintendo property than Nintendo is. What Nintendo should do is release an emulator of their own. What they should do is offer better services as opposed to shut down the better services. Like, they're shutting these emulators down without having anything of their own that is an improvement. They don't have anything. It's just dumb. I hate it. I actually hate it. So yeah, I wanted to rant about this a little bit. It's a classic, you know, probably like 2 or 3 times a year, Nintendo rant where I just have to spit on that company. It sucks. I really am so upset with them because they make such good games. It would just be such a slam dunk, an easy layup for Nintendo to just finally turn a new leaf and start getting into the 21st century. Like, finally doing things that aren't just needlessly evil, that aren't just cease and desisting everyone and everything and shutting projects down, taking down fan projects. Like, it's just so unnecessary. So, yeah, RIP to Ryujinx. Hopefully that YouTuber doesn't lose his account to Nintendo, and big you to Nintendo. That's about it. See ya.
You all know how much I love to get wacky, but unfortunately today I learned what happens when wacky gets you. I recently made a video talking about the YouTuber Gilva, who recently received 3,500 copyright blocks on his content, setting a new unbeatable world record that I imagine even made God afraid of his own creation for a brief moment. And I thought this was a pretty open and shut case of Nintendo enforcing their copyright, as they've done millions of times in the past. However, this shit has had more twists and turns than Game of Thrones, and hopefully, unlike Game of Thrones, this will have a good ending. Yesterday, a lot of very strong evidence came to light to indicate that Nintendo may not have been the ones behind all of these copyright blocks. And this rabbit hole goes deep. Apparently, there may be someone or some entity posing as Nintendo and just taking down content on YouTube, stretching all the way back to 2019. So, I mean, it could be corporate espionage, could be Atlanteans, it could be DB Cooper behind the whole operation, we don't know. So I wanted to go over all the evidence here, since I'm often considered one of the finest minds in justice. I'm like the real-world L from Death Note. You might remember, but I was actually the ace detective that cracked the Jack the Ripper case. I finally solved that mystery on stream not too long ago. I'll go ahead and spoil that anime for you. Jack the Ripper was undoubtedly Charles Lechmere. I was the one that put all the puzzle pieces together and connected all the dots. So yeah, and I decided I'd lend my expertise here to this case since I recently made a video about it. Before getting into it all, I'd like to mention that Garry took down their channel today. They mentioned that Friday, today, was going to be doomsday for the channel, and they weren't lying. That wasn't clickbait. They were not posting cringe. They posted the fat truth. They took down the channel today in response to all the copyright claims they've been dealing with and didn't think it was worth keeping the channel up. So if this theory does turn out to be true, it makes the situation even more upsetting because if Nintendo really didn't copyright claim him, then basically what happened is Garry got pranked epic style from a guy pretending to be Nintendo and then deleted their channel for it. Hopefully they can get the channel back if this can be proven, but regardless, let's go through the evidence now. So this is where it all started. This is where my third eye began to open to the possibility that Nintendo was actually innocent in this case. It comes from Twitter user Soul Scribbles. They said their friend brought to their attention that the copyright claims are most likely not from Nintendo. So right away, some people felt the situation was fishy. They smelt something a bit stinky in the Nintendo asshole here. They state when Nintendo actually takes down videos with a copyright claim, they don't simply put Nintendo as the copyright holder and then show a screenshot of one of the removed videos where the copyright holder is just credited as Nintendo. They then explain why this is weird, because Nintendo doesn't say which Nintendo company. They'll always copyright strike with Nintendo, CO Ltd, Nintendo of America Inc., or Nintendo, and then those characters, if it's a real copyright claim from them, and then they put a screenshot here of an example of a legitimate takedown from the company, proving that it's not just one word. Now, much like Monsters Inc., Nintendo is a scary company. They take down fan projects and videos all the time. Many of you will remember on early days of YouTube, posting anything from Nintendo would often result in it getting claimed or striked by Nintendo, and I do vaguely remember it always having more than just Nintendo. That's not usually like just the stamp of Nintendo. It usually is like Nintendo of America or something a bit longer for the copyright holder, which isn't something I've thought about in a long time, but it's a great point made by the Twitter user here. So that is definitely something that is peculiar about the case. And Nintendo really was the perfect target to impersonate because everyone would expect this from Nintendo. Nintendo would go to a child's birthday party and DMCA the whole family if they saw too many Mario balloons there without Nintendo's permission for it. So most people didn't look further than just, hey, Nintendo's striking this channel a lot. I'm definitely in that same camp. I didn't bother to look any deeper to the claims. However, I'm glad that some people did because this is not normal. There's still quite a bit of evidence to go through and all of it's pretty compelling, so I do fully concede that I may have been wrong and jumped the gun to accuse Nintendo of being behind this from the get-go and just taking it at face value. But while I may have been wrong there, what I'm not wrong about is how comfortable the moist shirts are, baby. So if you want to get yourself the most comfortable white t-shirt in the game, you can go to charlieswhiteshirt.com. The shirt also comes in black, so they're the most comfortable white and black shirts to ever exist in this dimension. I'll put a link in the description. After digging deeper, they were able to trace it all the way back to 2019 with the takedown of something called Beware of the Forest Mushrooms, which is, again, more music that was taken down by Nintendo, or what appears to be a fake Nintendo. And then they also looked into the emails a bit further and concluded that the Nintendo JP email that these claims came from doesn't even actually exist. So it's not an official email from Nintendo apparently, at least according to this investigation, which is another very fishy thing. And then the final tweet in the thread is an example of a fake Nintendo claim getting overturned by YouTube, which means YouTube must have been made aware that it wasn't the official copyright holder that was filing the complaint in the first place and put the video back up. I think all the evidence is pretty compelling. However, you have to ask the question, why? If this isn't really from Nintendo, who is just bah-humbugging and nuking all Nintendo music on the platform? It'd have to be someone either with a grudge against Nintendo fans or like the Grinch, who instead of stealing Christmas is stealing all of Nintendo music. So they spent the last 3 years just downloading every Nintendo song from YouTube in order for their own personal collection, which they refused to share or something, and then took down all the other uploads. I have no clue. If it's really not Nintendo, I don't see the incentive to take everything down because they can't make money off it. Usually if there's like a copyright troll that's trying to abuse the system, they do a claim where they don't block the video, they just make the video's money. They claim the AdSense from the video. That's not what they're doing here. They are blocking it, so it's just straight up removed. So if it's really not Nintendo, there is nothing to be gained by doing that at all.
It's just such a weird situation because if it truly isn't Nintendo and it is one person or even a few people as part of a business to take down Nintendo music, it baffles me. It is mind-blowing because it doesn't make them any money and it's just a complete waste of time. And it confirms what I speculated in the beginning, that these were manually filed. If it truly wasn't Nintendo, then that all but confirms that someone, or at least a couple people, had to manually go through the copyright takedown process 3,500 times. Do you know how many hours that must have taken? It probably took the better part of the last 3 years just to do that. That's crazy. Just for actual nothing. A net gain of 0. Just a genuine loss of everything. Time, money. It's crazy. That truly is wild if this theory is accurate. And I'm inclined to believe the evidence here because, like I said, I do vaguely remember them always being like Nintendo of America when they would take down a YouTube video they didn't like. And even recently, didn't they take down all of the Pokemon FPS footage? I'd have to check to like look for old links to see what the copyright holder is credited as, because they did officially take those down. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. Give me 1 second. So I found all of the dead links to the Pokemon FPS game Nintendo took down a few weeks ago, and they're all credited as the Pokemon company that did it. Whereas in Garry's case, when some of his Pokemon music was taken down, it was still credited to Nintendo, so there's clearly a discrepancy here. Unfortunately, since Garry did take down their channel, I can't actually find any of the old links to his Pokemon music to confirm that it was credited to Nintendo, but from what I understand, everything was credited to just blank Nintendo, nothing else, just like straight up Nintendo and not the Pokemon company here, which is how they always take down Pokemon related content. So I definitely do subscribe to the belief that this wasn't the real Nintendo that did this, which makes the situation even sadder for Garry and really all fans of Nintendo music, that someone would bother going through this much effort just to take it down for literally no gain whatsoever. No financial gain, nothing. Just truly a waste of everyone's time, and in Garry's case, his hard work. So yeah, just wanted to give an update to this situation since it's super upsetting and super silly, really, overall, that this even happened. So yeah, that's about it. So yeah.